Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. The film opens with Gwen Stacy, Haley Steinfeld, recapping her previous adventure while jamming out on the drums with her friends. In addition to her multiversal travels and meeting Miles Morales, Shameik Moore, Gwen goes back to when she and her Peter Parker, Jack Quaid, were best friends, even close to Gwen's family, including her father Captain George Stacy, Shea Wiggum. Sadly, Peter took a serum that turned him into the Lizard, and Gwen fought and ended up killing him during a school dance. George believed Spider-Gwen was a murderer and issued a manhunt for her. Gwen misses Miles and has never felt more alone. After a chat with her father, Gwen overhears police chatter and follows her dad to a crime scene where the Vulture, Yorma Tacone, is attacking. Gwen notices that this Vulture is not her own, as he comes from a Renaissance-era universe. Gwen attempts to subdue the villain but is overpowered. A portal opens, and Miguel O'Hara/Spider-Man 2099, Oscar Isaac, jumps out. Despite his own set of skills and powers, he has to ask his virtual assistant Lila, Greta Lee, to call for backup. In enters pregnant superhero Jessica Drew/Spider-Woman, Issa Rae. Together, the three manage to bring Vulture down. Jess is impressed with Gwen's skills and suggests to Miguel that she join their team, but Miguel disagrees. George then enters and tries to arrest Gwen, forcing her to reveal her identity to him. Even after she tries to explain herself, George still tries to arrest her. Miguel traps George and gives Gwen a wrist device that allows her to travel between universes. Gwen looks at her dad one last time before joining Miguel and Jess. In Miles's universe, Earth 1610, he is struggling to maintain his school life and his life as Spider-Man. While his parents Jefferson, Brian Tyree Henry, and Rio, Luna Lauren Velez, are in a meeting with his guidance counselor, Rachel Dratch, Miles enters a bodega where he finds a supervillain called the Spot, Jason Schwartzman, trying to steal from the ATM with the portals that his body generates. Miles chases after Spot, who proves to be tricky to catch until Miles manages to tangle him up through his portal so he can meet with his parents. During the meeting, his parents are upset to learn Miles has missed 6 Spanish classes, resulting in him getting a B. Miles then sees that Spot has escaped, forcing him to cut the meeting short and run. Jefferson is also called upon to catch the criminal, leaving Rio alone. Miles follows Spot to Alchemax, where he claims to Miles is where his hatred for him began. Jefferson arrives and gets caught up in the chaos until Miles manages to knock Spot down. He explains to Miles that he used to be Dr. Jonathan Owen, a scientist at the Alchemax facility that he and Peter B. Parker, Jake Johnson, robbed. He was the guy that Miles threw a bagel at, and after the Spider People destroyed the Collider, his body was infused with particles that caused his skin to turn white and produce portals. He charges towards Miles, but he ends up literally kicking his own butt through his last portal. Afterwards, Miles, still in his Spidey suit, chats with Jefferson, trying to convince him to let his son spread his wings. Spot finds himself in a void between worlds, surrounded by portals. He tries to go through them and ends up in different universes, including a Lego universe, and one where he meets Mrs. Chen, Peggy Lou, from the Venom movies. Spot manages to return to his universe and decides he needs to absorb more energy from colliders in Alchemax facilities across different dimensions in order to bring Miles down. A party is held for Jefferson's upcoming promotion to captain of the police force, but Miles is late because he is picking up a cake. On his way, he has to stop crime, which causes him to be more late and miss Jefferson's toast. When he finally does arrive, Jefferson and Rio scold Miles, leading to a loud argument where Miles wants to tell his parents his secret identity, but he knows he can't do it there. Miles goes back to his room where Gwen appears in a portal to visit him. He is happy to see her, as evidenced by the amount of times he's drawn her in his notebook, and she invites him to go out with her, even though his parents grounded him. Miles puts on his Spidey suit and joins Gwen in swinging around the city. They stop at a skyscraper to hang upside down, and while Gwen appears to acknowledge Miles's feelings for her, she reminds him that in every other universe where a Gwen Stacy falls in love with Spider-Man, things don't end well for either of them. They return to the party, where Jefferson and Rio meet Gwen but still have their suspicions about her. After Gwen has to leave due to Spidey-related business, Rio has a heart-to-heart with Miles about how he's growing up and for him to take care of himself, while also encouraging him to go after Gwen. Miles goes invisible and follows Gwen to a crime scene where Spot has been. Gwen replays the events using a device that shows her that Spot put himself inside a collider to give him more portals. Gwen is contacted by Jess, as she had been assigned to the task of finding the multiversal anomaly, and Miles overhears Jess tell Gwen to forget about him. Jess also tracks Spot's newest location down to a different Earth in a city called Mumbattan. Gwen goes through the portal, and Miles follows her after a brief hesitation. Miles enters Mumbattan and comes in just as Gwen is chasing after Spot. Since Miles doesn't have the universe-jumping device, he glitches and is unable to help. The two are joined by Pavitra Prabhakar / Spider-Man India, Karan Soni, who brings his own skill set to the fight. He gives his own "let's do this one last time" intro like the other Spider people have, revealing he is an ordinary high school student who is dating his dream girl Gayatri, daughter of Inspector Singh, who is not fond of Pavitra. They chase Spot to the Mumbattan Alchemax, where he starts to fuse with that building's collider. Miles tries to use his powers to absorb the force field holding them back, only for them to be met by Hobie Brown / Spider-Punk, Daniel Kaluuya, a rule-breaking rocker who uses his power to break the force field. Miles has some jealousy toward Hobie because Gwen is said to have crashed in his dimension a few times. Despite their combined efforts, they fail to stop Spot from fusing with the collider, giving him more portals and causing the lab to start to crash. Miles also appears to see a vision of his father going to rescue a child, to which Spot says that this vision is their future. The four Spider people run outside to save citizens from the collapsing building. They get everyone off the bridge and attempt to stop the debris from doing too much damage. Pavitra webs a bus that Gayatri is on, while her father is attempting to save a little girl on a bridge. Miles goes after Singh, despite Gwen trying to stop him. He manages to prevent Singh's death while Pavitra saves Gayatri. The citizens cheer the Spider people on before a portal opens up in the city and begins to absorb parts of this universe. Jess arrives with her own team to fix things while telling Miles that he is wanted at their headquarters. Miles joins the others as they arrive at the headquarters of the Spider Society, which features hundreds of Spideys from hundreds of universes, including Deep Breath, Ben Reilly / Scarlet Spider, Andy Samberg, Web Slinger, Taran Killam, Margot Kess / Spiderbite, Amanda Stenberg, Spectacular Spider-Man, Josh Keaton, Insomniac Spider-Man, Yuri Lowenthal, a Spider-Cat, and a Spider-T-Rex. Jess gives Miles a wristband that he can use so he won't glitch. Miles is shown other things like the villains captured across the multiverse, which includes a version of Prowler, Donald Glover in a live-action cameo. Miles is also reunited with Peter B., who introduces him and Gwen to his daughter May/Mayday, that he had with Mary Jane. Miles is brought to meet Miguel, who runs the Spider Society. He is angry with Miles because he prevented a canon event from happening. In each universe with a Spider person, a police captain is supposed to die in the line of duty, and in most cases, it's a version of Captain Stacy. Miles saving Inspector Singh was not supposed to happen, and Miles realizes that this means his dad is in danger. Miguel explains that tampering with canon events can lead to devastating consequences. He jumped to a universe where one of his variants died, so he assumed that Miguel's life and his family. This led to an anomaly where many people were erased from this universe, including Miguel's daughter. When Miles argues that they can't just allow his father to die, the other Spider people seem to have already known that this had to happen. He is confronted by the other Spider people before Miguel places him in a trap. Miles then uses his powers to break through the trap and escape, prompting Miguel to send every last spider-person after him. Miles runs and swings through the facility, fighting off every spider-person, or animal, that comes his way. They make it to a train where Miguel tries to go after Miles himself, leading to a fight where Miguel tells Miles that he was never supposed to be Spider-Man since the spider that bit him wasn't even from his universe. He also blames Miles for his Peter dying and for the universe where the spider came from.